Well, welcome back to the world. According to Michael Popok, there's no love lost between me and Alina Habba. We've been criticizing her being obscenely unqualified for any position she's ever had around Donald Trump since she was his private lawyer, since she was his arm candy at every event that he ever attended while he was running for office. She was a parking garage lawyer. I don't mean she operated a parking garage. I mean, she represented companies that own parking garages, which is perfectly fine, but it doesn't really prepare you to be the acting interim U.S. attorney for New Jersey. You have no federal practice. You have no experience in federal court. In fact, the only time you've been in federal court representing Donald Trump got his ass handed to him not once, but twice by a federal jury in the E. Jean Carroll case, and now he owes $100 million for sexual assault and defamation. And she was just as bad in state court, where she was the responsible, ultimately, for a $450 million, now up to $500 million judgment against Donald Trump for fraud. And if you don't like that, she was also sanctioned for discovery abuse in the state court proceeding. And in addition to that, she was sanctioned over $1 million along with Donald Trump in another federal court proceeding involving Donald Trump suing in bad faith Hillary Clinton and a bunch of other people down in Florida with Judge Middlebrooks. And so therefore, she has failed up because she went from a spokesperson and general counsel for MAGA Inc., a political action committee for Donald Trump, where he stashed her to kind of keep her out of harm's way. And I thought, well, that's good. He must recognize she's a terrible, terrible lawyer, right? Nope. After they got rid of the U.S. attorney in New Jersey, because they want to make New Jersey, which is adjacent to New York, Donald Trump's home state, they want to make New Jersey an example for political purposes. Who better to do that than Alina Habba? I'm going to cover on this hot take a U.S. federal judge, a magistrate judge, telling Alina Habba, no surprise, she doesn't know what she's doing. She needs to do better, that she has to hold her office to a higher standard all around the arrest of Baraka, the mayor of Newark, when he tried to do some oversight over a private immigration detention center that's in Newark, along with 3 members of Congress. And he just had, you may not have heard this, there was much ballyhoo coming out of Alina Habba with social media posts and all sorts of press conferences about the arrest of Baraka, who's touted to be a future Democratic operative and political powerhouse come 2028. And then all of a sudden, quietly, she announced instead they were indicting a member of Congress, LaMonica McIver, and they were going after her. They were dropping the charges for trespass against Baraka. So they had to go into a federal judge to do that, who administers justice. And the judge had a few choice words for her, Judge Espinosa, and I'm going to cover it here on this particular hot take. Welcome back. I mean, for me, people know that I was away. My mother passed away a week ago. Huge supporter of everything we do here on, I'm going to fix my collar in honor of my mom. Everything we do here on Legal AF and on the Midas Touch Network. She was there from the very beginning. She sat and watched me actually do hot takes and podcasting over the years. And she is sorely and dearly missed and has left a tremendous legacy to my family, which I'm going to use right now in furtherance of the defense of democracy. Let's talk about Alina Habba, only because we have to. So Alina Habba takes over in New Jersey and decides the first day she's going to go after corruption in New Jersey. All right. The Senator Menendez got indicted and convicted by the Biden administration for taking gold bars as bribes in an Egyptian influence peddling scandal. All right. That was under Biden. And New Jersey, like any other state, has had its share of public corruption. I will grant you. Just that Mayor Baraka is not one of them. What happened is Donald Trump took millions of dollars from private prison companies, including one that built and operated a center in New Jersey that's being used for immigration detention, which is called Delaney Hall. I don't know why it's called Delaney Hall. Somebody can tell me in comments, but that's what it's called. And members of Congress in and around that district, including Rob Menendez's son, who's a congressperson, LaMonica McIver, and Bonnie Watson Coleman went together, joined arms to go do oversight over that detention center. I mean, this is an administration that is notorious for abusing civil rights, human rights, abusing due process, not even recognizing due process of law, not even recognizing the Fifth Amendment obligations of this president to defend the Constitution and make sure that everyone, regardless of their citizenship on American soil, is given proper due process. So knowing that, and knowing that this Trump administration has tried in the middle of the night to ferry people away from federal jurisdiction and judges and put them in gulags in foreign countries where they can be abused. And worse, members of Congress and the mayor decided, let's go check out the new prison down the road operated by one of Trump's donors and see how that's being operated. And they were barred by a combination of ICE officials, taxpayer dollar funded, and private security guards. All right, well, they are members of Congress. They did show their badges and their credentials. They had nothing to hide. Let's let them in. And there was a scuffle, mainly ICE and the security guards pushing and shoving members of Congress and the mayor of Newark. It led to arrests. Ross Baraka was arrested, and I believe that LaMonica McIver, Representative McIver, was arrested as well. Now they make a lot of big public statements. We'll put a few of them up on the screen. You know, it's usually around the lines of nobody's above the law, except for Donald Trump. Nobody is, we're going to hold everybody responsible. We don't care if they're elected officials. I mean, this administration has arrested and indicted a sitting state court judge for doing her job defending the rule of law in Wisconsin, in Judge Hannah Dugan. They've arrested now a member of Congress. Is this okay with you? Is it, while he's conducting the largest bribe scandal, money laundering, influence peddling scandal using cryptocurrency and gifts from foreign Arab countries in the history of America? Is that okay with you? He's arresting members of Congress and the members of the judiciary. So there was a lot of posts by Alina Habba and press conferences and all of this to get, it's all politics, to get to curry political favor. All in violation, by the way, of the Department of Justice manual. Everything they do has been in violation of the Department of Justice manual to protect people who are presumed innocent until convicted in this country. You're not supposed to post photos. You're not supposed to post perp walks, which is what they did for Hannah Dugan. You're not supposed to post statements that try to corrupt the mind of the jury, the future jury in a case. But that's what they do because they're political animals. And the emphasis there is on the animal. And so you had all of that. Then they decided, well, we're going to have to dismiss the trespass claim against Baraka because, you know, they don't have the goods. No reasonable prosecutor possessing the facts that they had would ever prosecute that case. So even they figured it out. And if that dawned on them, wow. So they decided they're going to do it, but they're going to do it. And to hide the fact that they were going to do it, they're going to indict LaMonica McIver, Representative McIver, at the same time, because they don't like the fact that when she got pushed, she pushed back. That's what happened. They're okay with the Jan 6ers braining literally with metal objects, wooden poles, flag poles, bike racks, bear spray, police batons, police visors, and anything else makeshift homemade that they could come up with, and guns and knives. Law enforcement on Jan 6, no problem with that. I was just a walk in the park, literally. That was a day of peace and love. But you get shoved in front of a private prison when you're an elected official, you're trying to do your job, and you push back. Oh, no one's above the law unless you're exonerated by the criminal and felon in chief. So it now comes before Judge Espinosa. He's a magistrate judge. Quick breakout session for Legal AF Learning. You know, we're always like a TED Talk meets a law school class. Federal magistrates, especially in very large districts like the District of New Jersey, DNJ. I'm a member of a number of federal courts, a member of the bar of the federal courts. I'm not a member of the New Jersey bar, but it works the same as in New York and in Florida and other places where I am. The magistrate judges handle, especially in criminal, a lot of the day-to-day in a criminal case. Bond and bail hearings and setting conditions for release and initial discovery, exchange of documents and information, and maybe even in dismissals of indictment, that kind of thing. Eventually, there is an Article III judge, a lifetime appointed federal judge above them. Magistrate judges are below them. They are not Article III judges. They don't have lifetime appointment, and they can be fired really at any time they want. At any time. Although they usually use that if they can as a stepping stone. Many magistrate judges get elevated into full-blown federal judges at some point in their life. So they have a lot of power, especially over search warrants and subpoenas and that type of thing. So here's what Judge Espinosa had to say to the Department of Justice representative from Alina Habba's office, although Alina Habba was not there because she's a coward. So here's what he had to say to the representative when he was asked to to dismiss the indictment. He said it was an embarrassment for the office. He said, your role as the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey and prosecutor is not to secure convictions at all costs, nor to satisfy public clamor, nor to advance political agendas, Espinosa told Habba. Or actually, you know what? Based on this reporting, Habba is there. Your allegiance is to the impartial application of the law, to the pursuit of truth, and to the upholding of due process for all. Your office, Ms. Habba, must operate with a higher standard than that. Now, is anybody surprised that Alina Habba, who was a failed prosecutor, failed private lawyer, a failed federal practitioner, a failed state practitioner, who was fined and almost found in contempt in every case that she's ever been involved with, just like every other Donald Trump lawyer, is getting upbraided by a federal judge? You know, Donald Trump just appointed in D.C. to be the D.C. U.S. Attorney. I almost said Judge Judy. Another wholly unqualified former Fox host, Jeanine Pirro, who never had a federal practice, who was a Westchester County state court judge at best, to be a federal prosecutor. You know, I mean, my podcast partner, Karen Friedman-Agnifilo, 30 years a state prosecutor, Manhattan DA. She'll tell you she's not as comfortable with federal practice. She is now, but wasn't then for most of her career. Wasn't prepared for it. It's a different cat. It's a different animal. I move between state and federal courts because that's the nature of my practice as a trial lawyer from the very beginning. But not her. And she never had any success. All Alina Habba ever did, I'll leave it on this, was to figure out a way to worm her way into the world of Donald Trump. Because if you think Donald Trump is looking for career advancement and is a naked opportunist, so is Alina Habba. She had her office in Bedminster, a law firm, near like the 19th hole, 18th hole of the back nine of the Bedminster golf course that Donald Trump lives at a lot of the year. That joined the club, tried to learn how to play golf. You see what she looks like. Found a way to hang out and rub elbows with Donald Trump. Found out he had troubles with some employment cases. Decided to help him out. Lied, according to some filings, lied to a plaintiff who was suing the Trump organization, a Trump golf course, for sex harassment, convinced her that she was her friend, get her to dismiss the case for a low dollar amount, got on the radar for Donald Trump, handled another case involving a former apprentice on Celebrity Apprentice that also accused Donald Trump of sex harassment, solved that case, and now she's up and running. And now completely unqualified in this little tiny office she and her husband operate. She then becomes this big federal litigator. I looked her up because I practiced in New York as well and had an office in New York. You know, her office was like in a WeWork. She posted this big New York fancy address. I looked it up. It was a Regency rented office, right? Because that was her. And she wasn't even, I think she was maybe had the New York bar, maybe, but was not qualified to operate in federal court. And 2 federal juries threw the book at her client. And the more decisions she made, the worse the case got. At one point, he got an $83 million judgment against him. And then she loses in state court, $500 million. Then she loses and gets sanctioned $1 million in front of Judge Middlebrooks. And her reward, the acting interim U.S. Attorney for New Jersey. She'll never hold that position permanently. Just that Donald Trump in his first year needs political flax to run these offices. Because all he cares about is the political currency surrounding it. Doesn't care about justice, doesn't care about prosecution ideals or guidelines, doesn't care about Fifth Amendment rights, doesn't care about due process. He doesn't even know what it is. So we're going to follow now Representative McIver and her that case is going to get dismissed too, by the way. I'm hoping it's before Judge Espinosa. That will be fun. We'll report on it right here on Legal AF. Take a moment, hit the subscribe button. Help us continue to grow. We're trying to get to our next level, next plateau, 700,000 subscribers. We got a new Legal AF Substack. You're going to love it. It's got all sorts of documents and information and filings and briefings I do every day called Morning AF, only on Legal AF Substack. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.